back again. It has been a while, and there's a lot that has happened in the past 2 months, and I'm back to share the highlights of the past 2 months of my life. So let's get started. So it is your life coach / vocal coach, Mama's Vocalosity, back again. And the past 2 months has been amazing and crazy and exciting, and just, it's been really good. From August 1st to the end of September, I took a dating class. It was called the Diamond Dating League. And so, I heard about this class through a friend of mine. If you follow me or my channel, you know that I'm a single mom of 2, and I've been divorced for about 4 years now. Probably wasn't until January, February 2017 that I decided to jump online and try to date. And it was okay, but I didn't reap a lot of benefits. And then probably around March, April, May, I met a guy who lived up north, and it was a weird relationship, but he was more great on paper than he really was as a person. And so that relationship ended. And then in July, I ended up trying to reconcile with my ex-husband. And that was pretty amazing for about 40 days. And then he just fell apart. And so that kind of dragged on for a while. Anyway, I had been interested in people and tried to date. I would get online, and then after a while I'd get discouraged, and then I would stop. And then I was like, oh, let me try again. And I mean, I was serious about it, and in my heart I really wanted to get married again. It was something that I was praying for. It was something that I really wanted. But as soon as I would get discouraged, I would stop. And so that kind of went off and on, and then I'd get super busy in life and I wouldn't put any time into it. But on top of that, even the quality of men that I was meeting online, none of them led to even a first date. I mean, I had a few first dates, but nothing long term, no good conversation, just exchanging about life and aspirations and goals. Like, it just, an actual relationship never manifested from any of my dating online. So anyways, and then I had a satellite in my life. I had this one guy who, I started hanging out with him after my divorce ended. We were already friends, and it turned into something romantic, but it was always a mess. He wasn't completely disconnected from his past relationship, and so it was just fun, and definitely a regret I had. But within the past 4 years, he's been a satellite. And a satellite is a person in your life you've had some kind of romantic relationship with, and they're just always there. They're just kind of circling over your head, and they'll go away for months. I mean, many times I would just be like, I don't want to see you anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And then we wouldn't talk for 6 months to a year. And then all of a sudden he would pop up. And it didn't matter if I, blocked his number or deleted him off of Facebook. He would always find a way back in. And because I wanted that attention and I wanted to just have fun, I would go right back into that situation. So that is one of the things that I learned in this class. Just what I've shared with you already. a lot of women get fatigued with dating, and they'll put in a little bit of time. They don't fully commit to it. And then when things aren't working out and either they're not getting any matches, or the matches and the dating isn't really leading to anything like a relationship, then we give up. And then we go off and we start doing something else. And I was doing that, just what I explained to you. Then on top of that, one thing I learned in the class is that we have satellites. People who orbit around, they are always coming back. They can smell when you're making change and you're trying to progress in your life. And then boop, they come back in, and because of loneliness, desperateness, you give in to that. And you know it's never going to lead to what you really want. And for me, it was very discouraging because I just felt like I kept attracting men like this. Specifically narcissists, passive-aggressive people, passive-aggressive men who really didn't know what they wanted. They just wanted to hang out. They didn't want anything long-term or serious. They just want to sleep with you. It's just the same thing, and it was very discouraging. So I took this class on August 1st, this master class, and I learned so much just in the master class, which was free. I think it was a good 2-hour class, and she just gave us an overview of what the class was going to be like, and then taught us some things, and really helped us to evaluate if this class was good for us or not. So after I took the master class, I was stoked, but I was like, it had a price tag to it. And so I was like, how can I do this in this period of life that I'm in, single mom, on unemployment as a result of COVID, working very minimal hours at my church job because of COVID. But I use this time to really get my businesses for life coaching and vocal coaching going. And so that was very profitable. But to make a decision as a single mom to pay for a dating class was a huge decision. And I really had to contemplate, think about it, pray about it. And of course, I talked to my best friend about it. So I took this master class, and when it was over, I knew I wanted to take the class. After the master class, we then had to schedule a time. If we were interested in taking the class, we had to schedule a time with my dating coach, Bree Jenkins, and she would then interview us to see if we fit the class. And so I was a little nervous about that. I'm 45 years old, single mom, divorce. I don't know why I put myself in a category of not wanting love or needing love, but I didn't know. I thought there would be younger women who had less bag. I don't know what she was looking for. So I scheduled a call after the master class for about 4:00, and I got on the phone call, and she just asked me about myself, and she asked me why I wanted to take the class. And I remember tearing up when I answered her, and she probably couldn't tell, but I just choked up and I said, I want to find love. I know that I deserve to have love, and I'm tired of attracting the same kind of men into my life. I want to get married again. I want my kids to live under the same roof with a healthy man and a healthy woman in a healthy marriage. I want my kids to see their mother being loved well. And I'm just tired of what I've gone through. I don't want that anymore. And I think this class would really help me. And so she was just like, okay. She gave me no indication I was going to fit the class, or that she was going to choose me to be in the class. And so I hung up with her, and I just kind of left it in God's hands. So I think it was probably a couple days after that, maybe a day or two after that, that I got a message, email message from her saying that I had been invited to join this Diamond Dating League. And I was so excited and just went on the website to see how much it was going to cost and all of that. And so it did cost around $1,900. But I didn't pay it in full. I made payments over the course of about 3 months. We had to make I keep saying we, but I had to make a down payment to get started in the class. And I just remember really feeling in my heart that I really wanted to do this. And I knew that it was going to be good for me. I did not anticipate necessarily meeting anyone, but I just knew it was going to improve my mindset on dating and love, and I just knew it was going to change me from the inside out. And so I remember talking to my best friend about it, and I was like, I really want to take this class, but I don't even know how I can justify paying this amount of money for something like this. And it's unfortunate that me in particular did not really think that I was worth paying that amount of money. You know, it's like, oh, it has to be a huge need. But the truth is, I needed this class. I can tell you 100% I needed this class. But you're like, oh, it's not groceries. It's not buying my kids shoes and clothes. Like, it's not something super responsible like that. It's a dating class. Like, just read some books, watch some YouTube, and figure it out, you know? I guess it's kind of a fancy way of dating, but I was serious. And because there was a price tag and I was going to have to make sacrifices to pay for this class, it really helped me to hunker down, eliminate things out of my life that were going to distract me or keep me from this goal, and really pour my energy, my time, my schedule into this class. That price tag is actually far less than what I'm worth as far as my time and my energy. That's nothing. That's like 50 cents, right? But because of that price tag, it really helped me to focus and to do it right and to get it done. And so I was talking to my best friend and I was just like, oh, I don't know how to justify this. And it's just amazing. And we talked about it and she really wanted it for me. And we were in my room talking about it. And then she left the room and she came back with her credit card. And if you have watched or followed any of my videos, you know that that is how my best friend is. And she just always outgives to the utmost. And she's just like, worry about it later. Just do what you want to do. And she's always super encouraging and supporting. And so she leaves. She comes back with the credit card. And I'm like, are you serious? And so she allowed me to use her credit card to charge that first down payment. And she sat here in the room while I filled out all the information. And then I pressed send. And it was like, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. And she just wanted me to find love. That's what that was about. So I jumped into the class the following weekend. Pretty much the normal schedule was we had class every week. Every other week we would have a Q&A session so we could just get online. The whole class was on Zoom, but every other week we would get online and just ask her questions about dating, bring situations of dating situations that we were experiencing, and asked her what she thought and what she would suggest. People would chime in and encourage. Okay, just to back up. So the class had 25 spots. Of all the women that were on, I didn't count to see how many, but I know there was more than 25 on that free masterclass. So with the interview process that she went through with everyone, she chose 25 for the class. So I was one of the 25. I believe that I was one of the oldest. I think there were some women that were a little older than me. And there's one other woman, if I am correct, there was one other woman who had children. And I think she had like a son. But I was the only one, 45, with 2 kids and divorced. I don't think there were any women that were divorced. The one who had the most, maybe the most baggage, if you want to call it baggage. But again, the class was every week. Every week we were given homework, but things that we had to think about, and we had to send her Google Docs. And she would go through and read what we wrote, and then she would make comment about what we wrote. And that's how she kind of coached us and helped us. When she was teaching the classes once a week, so it would alternate. It would be on a Saturday the first week, and then the second week it would be on a Sunday around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. I say that because I locked all the dates of the class into my schedule. If you follow my channel, you know that I lead worship and I'm the vocal coach at my church. And around this time is when they had locked down the church again, because they had opened, but they had locked down the church, and now they were starting to meet outside under a tent. And so it was right around that time that it happened. And I didn't sing outside for a while after they started doing it. And then when I did, I had to let them know, without letting them know, but I had to let them know I can't sing outside every Sunday because my class would either start at 10. Yeah, it would start, I think, at 10 or 11 on Sundays. And so it was part of my commitment. I was like, if I'm going to invest this money, I'm going to invest all my time and my energy. And I had to let things go. I couldn't sing every single Sunday, especially if anything conflicted with my class, I canceled that. I was starting to teach classes with my kids' homeschool co-op. And that was starting, and I really needed to put time into that. I had started leading a young adults life group, which I did for a couple months, and there was some inconsistency with that group, and so I decided to not help out anymore, co-lead. I don't know, there were just little things that I just really had to say no to because it would conflict with the class. And on top of the class, there was homework. I mean, we had some really, beefy homework that I had to sit down and think through and type stuff up to turn my homework in. That was a huge priority to me. And I would generally get my homework done. Like if our class that week was either Saturday or Sunday, my homework would be done by like Tuesday or Wednesday. And so a lot of times I would get a response back from her before the next class. And that was kind of the rhythm that I had. It's interesting because there were about halfway through the class, people were having a hard time getting their homework done for whatever reason, their schedule, life, whatever. And so my dating coach actually she decided to skip one of our weeks in between this 8-week course, and then put it on the end. So the class ended up actually lasting about 9 weeks because she skipped a week and just kind of pushed everything down. But not getting my homework done, that was not an option to me. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it 500%. And I really did do it 500%. One of the things that I want to share is the first 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, it was really hard stuff. It was really thinking about our past dating experiences, how we wanted to change that, applying the principles that she was teaching us. And one of the weeks, we had to type out our regrets, our disappointments, our hurts. And the way the lesson was for me is I ended up writing letters to specific people in my life who I had felt I had been hurt, or they had disappointed me, or I had regrets in my relationship with them. So I ended up writing 4 letters. And you can imagine the biggest letter was to my ex-husband. But it was really interesting because the letters were not like, I can't believe I married you. You're the worst person in the wide world. You are the... None of the letters were like that. I did talk about, this really hurt me and this really frustrated me. But on top of that, I would also talk about the good times. Like, thank you so much for being this in my life. And with the good things, or even the bad things, I am the woman that I am today because of this. Because this is how you chose to function and be in our relationship. And so I didn't regret any of the things that I said in the letters. I didn't go off or cuss people out. It was just pure blood on those papers of how I felt in those particular relationships. So I ended up writing 4 letters to 4 different people from my life. I wrote a letter to my ex-husband. That was the bulkiest, longest letter. Then the relationship that I mentioned, that satellite in my life for the past 4 years, I wrote a letter to that person. And then I wrote a letter to my dad because there was definitely some hurt growing up that really affected or has affected who I am as a woman today, and affected a lot of my relationships and what I was attracting and what I was looking for. And so I wrote a letter to my dad. There was a tremendous amount of good things in the letter, but I did point out the things that I was hurt by him, which were things that, at least one of the things I talked to my dad about before he passed away last year. And then I wrote a letter to my mom. So I absolutely love and adore my mom, and I'm very much like her, but there was some hurt in there, especially over the past 4 years. And I needed to get that out. And the cool thing about this lesson was my dating coach, maybe not the coolest thing, but it was good. Once we wrote out all our disappointments and regrets and hurts, she then had us carry a bag for over a week with something weighted in the bag. And so one of my friends / voice students gave me this old drawstring backpack to use. I can't remember what I was using before that. I had some other bag. But she gave me this bag, and then I borrowed some weights from my best friend. And I think it totaled maybe 20 pounds. But I then labeled each weight with my hurts. Like, some years I had a miscarriage, and that was super painful. And so I labeled one of the weights miscarriage. I had several labels on one weight. Put my ex-husband on there. I put that satellite relationship, my parents, my regrets, and I carried that thing for over a week. And I thought I'd be done after 3 days. But I'll tell you, I hated the experiment. I hated doing it. But when my dating coach told me that that's what she wanted me to do with it, I started crying because I could feel the impact that it was going to have on me to actually carry all that pain. Now, granted, I have done a lot of work on emotional healing in my life, especially coming out of my difficult marriage. And I really think it's only because I did that for so many years, 3 years or 3 years prior to my divorce, and then continual growth and understanding and healing. So because of that, once I arrived in this place where I was carrying these weights, it was a lot easier. But I could sense the emotional impact it was going to have on me when she said, okay, this is what you're going to do next. So I carried that bag. I had to carry it around the house. I had to take it with me when I went to the restroom. I took it with me in the car. It would sit in my lap when I was driving. It slept in my bed next to me. Like, it was with me all the time, and it was such a pain in the butt. And I remember when I really understood this exercise, I was coming out of my best friend's room, and I said, just imagine going into a new relationship and you're dragging this bag. And I demonstrated dragging the bag on the ground, hitting the frame of the door, telling, the person you're with, hey, sweetie, can you wait up for me? Hold on one second. Bam, bam. You're hitting the walls. It's hitting you in your foot. You're bumping into people with it, and you're trying to get this new love in your life to hold on and wait for you while you're dragging this thing. And it just really made the experiment come to life. So I did that for about a week, and then I emailed her and was like, okay, I think I'm ready to give the bag up. And I said, I hate this bag. I don't want to carry it anymore. And she was like, okay, just 3 more days. I was like, no! So of course I carried it for 3 more days. And then after 3 days, I remember I went to see my friend who actually gave me the drawstring bag that I carried the weights in. I went to see her perform. She's in this Christian reggae band that I used to tour with. And so I went to see her. I went by myself. I had my stupid bag with me. And it was in Cerritos. And so after the concert, I left and I drove to Huntington Beach. And it was a really cool night. There was a lot of people on the beach, but closer to the water, it was more secluded. Not as many people. It was darker. So I went, I took a blanket and I laid it out, and I printed out all of my letters that I had written. All right, y'all, that is part 1. I decided to cut it because the video goes pretty long. Anyway, that's part 1. If you like this video, definitely give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe so you can get notification for part 2. There might be a part 2 and a part 3. But yes, that is part 1. More to come. And thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!